Hi everyone, this is Queens with Accent, and I'm Natasha. Please introduce yourself. And we're doing podcast, and we are mature adults. We willingly doing it. We love doing it. We enjoy doing it. Right? No one is forcing us. We're at our free will. But there are people who do it under pressure. Who, in the matter of fact, sometimes even beaten and tortured just to be on camera and make money from viewers. And that's who are we going to talk about today. Because most of these people are young. They're children, basically. Most of these people are children. And one of the most famous cases that came out lately, probably maybe a year ago, right? Girls, somewhere around that time, year or two ago, with Ruby Frankie, who was a super popular YouTuber, vlogger, with her 6 kids and with her husband. They were recording and filming their family, this happy family, celebrating holidays, loving each other, hugging, baking cookies, traveling, everything. The kids are smiling and laughing, and it seemed like they enjoyed it. But it was not the same behind the camera. Behind the camera, there was dark story. And when the world found out about it, it wasn't all funny for Ruby Frankie, and she did not make those money that she basically made over those years, millions of dollars. And it started lightly. People just started noticing that she is a little bit rude to her kids. The kids' answers to like simple questions like "Where did you sleep today? Where did you eat today?" were not answered. Kids would say, "I didn't eat today. You know, I was bad. I didn't get any food. My mom didn't get me food for college." And she was explaining it, in a rational way. Yes, she forgot to pack her lunch, and that's why she doesn't get her lunch. But it wasn't.
He did not think that that was the case because it did go to court, right? They got charged.
Well, yes, the case went to court before actually anyone was arrested. And it was basically an accident. One of Ruby Frankie's family, neighbors, not even hers, but her friend's neighbor, right? Saw a little kid. A little kid came to his house and asked for water and asked to call police. And when they saw this kid, basically the wife of this neighbor, she started crying and she started asking, "What happened to you?" Because this little kid, the boy who was about 8, 11, I don't remember his age, he had tape around his arms, he had bruises all over his body, tape was around his ankles, it was torn. So he just basically ran away from somewhere. And when the police came and they started, asking his questions, they found out that it was his mother, actually. And his mother is a famous vlogger. And it was a very, very long story after that, because it's turned out that they were in the house of their mother's friend. And he and his sisters were held in separate rooms. And they were basically deprived of food, and they were tortured. And one of the tortures includes something like burning. I don't remember, burning their feet, like cutting their feet and burning it with something, with some kind of mustard or something.
No, and I don't necessarily want to know because I get really
People, yeah, but it was like public.
The thing is that how far is too far, right? And I think a lot of the times the parents who do end up doing things like that, they don't necessarily understand how far is too far, and there's nobody to keep them in check. There's nobody.
Yes,
Hey, listen, this is not right. You can't do that, right? It's like, stop doing this. And also, they're building their following and they're building their media presence, right, based on children. And we know how children can change their minds so quickly, like this, right? One
Exactly.
day, I love being on camera. I want to be, a superstar. I want to do videos. And then the next day, I like dinosaurs and I don't want to be on camera anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a
Yeah, like my daughters, they don't want to be on camera. Your daughter doesn't want to be on
Right.
camera, and you're not gonna torture her and
But you
stick
can't.
needles under her nails to be
Yeah,
on
right,
that camera.
exactly. But I think what happens is to those people who have built something so big, right? Who have become so famous, who have become so, they blew up on the internet. It's hard for them to let that go. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do. I'm not saying they're right to do that. But from their standpoint, like, how did that happen even, right? Because I'm trying to understand, how did that even happen? How did that come to be? And I think that's what happened. Like, they love the fame so much, they love the attention so much, plus they probably were making money from the content, right? Because
Yeah, that's exactly what
Yes.
happened. They started very small. They started putting out just small, tiny family videos because it's a big family. They were traveling, 8 people. It's called Eight Passengers, the name of the channel. And all of a sudden, people started watching them, and they started getting viewers, and viewers. And the mother got very excited about it, and she's like, "Oh yeah, look at that! We're getting viewers. We're getting monetized. We're getting money. We're getting these offers from the companies. Let's keep doing more and better, and let's change lighting in the house." And she wanted to film every single day, and the kids were out of it at this point. They didn't want to do it.
Yes. But
So
the thing
physical
is,
punishment came into
yes.
play.
Yes, and I was going to say that the signs of her controlling issues and her cruelty were noticeable quite earlier because of those things that she made her children do, and the punishments that she was, making them going through those punishments that were kind of odd. Like one of her sons, I guess, he told everyone on camera that he was sleeping in a beanbag, not like he was
Yes.
deprived of bed, and for I don't know how long, maybe a couple of weeks or month, I don't remember. And this was recorded. It was shown to the audience. So it's not like it happened like after kids said we don't want to do it anymore. It happened early on, and people who were watching them, who were actually enjoying this content, they could do something earlier, I think, because this is odd when a mother of 6 kids saying that her, like, how old was this girl? 6? Well, I don't remember. She has to cook her like meal to go to school or something like this.
Yeah.
And she was
Yeah,
saying
they're
this.
so little.
She was and she was saying this genuinely, not she wasn't faced with everything that was going on. She actually thought that it was an okay. She actually
Well,
thought that getting
children when we grow up, right, we're isolated to our family basically, and we
Yeah.
think that whatever's going on in our family, that's what's going on in everybody's family. And so obviously, if you grew up like this, if you saw your siblings being treated like this, you're like, oh, that's a normal thing, right? And they don't know
Yeah,
the difference.
that's true. Yeah,
So
that's
just
true.
an example, right, from my personal experience, when I got like a lot of like hate from people when I shared that I took my daughter to a concert. I
Mhm.
bought tickets to go to this orchestra concert. It wasn't like a classical music per se, but it was like a mix of classical and pop, I guess. And you guys probably heard of him, Havasi, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a European composer. He's a musician, and so he had a concert right here in Florida. And I bought tickets for all 3 of us because my daughter plays piano, and I thought she's going to enjoy it because she plays piano. And so the days leading up to it, she's like, I don't really feel like going. I don't want to go. And I'm like, but you haven't been to a concert like that. Let's go and try it. If you don't like it, then you don't like it. But I don't know like what the big deal was, right? No, but it's too loud. I'm like, okay, but you go to movies, right? And movies are loud. There's sounds and everything. No, but I don't want
Yeah.
it. So the whole like a couple of days before, she was trying to like get out of it. And I was like, okay, fine. Try it one time, and you don't like it, then that's fine. I won't do it again. So I basically made her go. And so when the concert started, when everything started, she started like not crying hysterically, but like sort of like letting a tear out. And I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, I think it's too loud. I'm like, okay, but we
Mm-hmm.
weren't even sitting like close to the stage or anything. So throughout the whole experience, right, she wasn't hysterical to where like she's physically hurt, right? And again, you as a mother, you know your child. And I'm like, okay. And then I held her hand and I was like, okay, but that's fine. Let's go ahead and, see how it goes, whatever. And then I shared that experience with like online, and people were saying, oh, you're the mother and you're supposed to protect your child and you're torturing your child and you're doing this and that and whatever. And in my head, I was like, okay, number one, there's such a thing as desensitization therapy, where you're exposed to the thing that you're afraid of or you don't like, where, you're okay with it sometimes. You like gradually you get accustomed to it.
Uh-huh.
For one. Number two, it wasn't like, it was a concert. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't a horror movie. It wasn't like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And still, I got lashback, and definitely, like, I felt bad. I did as a mother. I'm like, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I did not do the right thing. But on the other side of things, right? If children are not exposed to certain things, in my head, I'm like, okay, but how would she ever know? And she's the kind of person right now who's just like, she just wants to sit in her room. She wants to sit on her laptop or on her phone, and she doesn't want to go anywhere.
Yeah. So like most of the teenagers.
But is that normal, right? So like, that sometimes I have to take her out of the shell, show her things, expose her to things, and then kind of like get her acclimated to being in a society a little bit.
So I agree. It's not the same. It's not the same at all.
Right. But then again, I got like a lot of hateful comments for that. So like Yulia saying, if this was like out in the open, how come they never got, like, nobody knows?
No, they're called. They called people who were supposed to and check them, and I think people came, whatever the service is, and they didn't see anything wrong, and they left. So, but the actual police would not come and stuff like that until it's what happened. It was too late already for some kids. I just looked at the ages. The kids were born from 2003, 2005, 2007, 2009. And 2011, and the youngest was 2013.
Mm-hmm.
It was until 2023. She was arrested in 2023.
I think that Nadia's case is more. It's closer to when parents wants to take their kids to some new classes or something, like to gymnastics or something like swimming, and they don't want to do it like from time to time, and you're saying, if you want to do that, then do it. This is not a case. She was making profit. She was making content out of it. You were not
absolutely
making content.
It's totally different
that's
story.
why I don't get the lashback
but
from your audience. Because like, okay, you took your daughter to the concert. She was making them work for the living. That was not your intention. So it's a little different things. It is a thing that when you are not doing this content and you just, show your audience that, oh, I took my daughter to the concert and she didn't want it. And they say, okay, it's a little bit out of your range. So it is more noticeable for someone that you shouldn't have done this based on their views. This was like, putting a frog into water and start boiling this water. It was building up from, day one. And people, I think they saw that something was really wrong. But most of them didn't think it was all that horrible, because there was building up
all that bad.
They were very happy. Yes, they were very happy at first. They were nice. They were having this fun thing, showing up at the camera and saying hi to everyone. And then it was scripted. It was controlling. It was like really manipulative. It was freakish.
And what about the husband?
What?
All of them?
That's a different story. It was a different story because later in life, she met this woman, Jody, and she was kind of a psychologist, right? A kid psychologist who would help parents to help them with raising their kids in the right way. And, the right way was her way. And first, they started with these fathers groups, and they scrutinized their own husbands and saying them how they don't help their families, have their bad husbands, and bad fathers. And so they put fathers under fire, and have that how there's Jody woman and Frankie, they become Ruby became friends. And they became very close friends. And Ruby was helping that woman to. Yes, she had a husband.
From somewhere.
Yeah, and he didn't look like he super wanted to do it on camera. He wasn't super always happy, but she also like pushed him, like, do it, record it again and again until he looks happy. Be happy, be happy.
What was done to the children, or was he?
He was there. He was literally he witnessed all of this, and he didn't do it. He didn't do anything to stop it.
And then he moved out. Till the end because he left.
Yeah, he left. When it became super, super bad, he left.
Yeah.
But it's at that time, it became already things that became more than filming. It became very religious. And that Jody, she told them how to raise their kids. And the way to raise their kids was basically, no matter what they do, they don't drink water the right way, they didn't make their bed, they have to be punished, and punished heavily. I think they're ants or something horrible they did to their feet. I forgot. I guess my brain just locked it because it was like I couldn't even comprehend that you could do it to your own child. Like something like this. It was real torture. It was like Myanmar, like a scam camp, but it's your children. And and they moved half of the kids to that Jody house. It became the filming became secondary, and no matter what viewers were saying in their comments and sending somebody to check their house, nothing was really done because there was no proof.
Right. And it's not like it doesn't happen in other instances, right? This just blew up really like wide because she was a media person, right? But there are other instances, like, for example, when I was doing my clinical rotations, my last clinical rotation as a nurse, we were at the labor and delivery unit. And so there's this young 18-year-old girl who comes in to give birth. Okay, she's 18, she's of age. But she is telling the nurses and everybody really who will listen to her how her mom's boyfriend impregnated her. And she says the reason for that was because her mom was too old and she couldn't have any more children. And that was the reason why her mom's boyfriend had to impregnate
a lot of stories like this,
so that they can keep receiving government assistance for the family, right? So, but in her head, the way that she was telling it, she wasn't telling it to like seek help or to
like it was something wrong.
Right. Like it wasn't nothing wrong. Like it was like business as usual, she was just like talking about it, like casually. In my head, I'm like, oh my God, like, can you imagine what the children are like going through, right? And how they're raised to the point where she is openly talking about this to other people and she doesn't think there's nothing wrong with this. And not to mention, of course, the girl was severely obese. I mean, she's pregnant, but also she was severely obese. So it's clear that nobody really like took their time to raise the child right? The way that she was talking probably at like a 3rd, 4th grade level. She wasn't used, like her vocabulary was not very eloquent. She didn't have a lot of like, she didn't seem to be 18. That's what I'm trying to say, right? She seemed more like a child than an 18-year-old. And so, right. But then what do you do at that point? She's 18. She's old and she's considered an adult. So we couldn't really even report it anywhere because she's an adult and she consented to being impregnated. So essentially there was nothing illegal anymore. So it's interesting. It's heartbreaking to see that like things like that happen in daily life and nobody can really do anything about it.
No one knows. And here it comes to the cruelty of parents and cruelty of mothers, and mostly fathers. Fathers can be abusive, but we don't expect the same from women, right? We would say that it's caregiver, the woman who cares about children. But mothers, when the mothers love control, they don't let it go. They really love that control, and they will do anything to not let that control go.
And that's why, honestly, even from when I probably from before I was actually no, maybe after I had a child, after I had a baby, in my head I was like, people need to undergo psychological evaluations before they're
Yes.
allowed to have children.
But you know what? When I saw some videos of Ruby, I actually thought that she was absolutely hysterical. She was like brainwashed into something. Maybe she brainwashed herself first, and then this woman came along with this, and she was like, it is when you see a person with wide eyes open, and she's like telling you something. Like it's kind of weird. But we knew a lot of cases like this. Like if you remember, this is an old one with Gypsy Rose when she killed her mother. That
That's a famous story.
Yes, that she was sick her whole life. I know that this is like a mental case. It's like Munchausen by proxy, I guess, right?
Munchausen by proxy.
But I think it can be like a little bit similar, because this is the whole bunch of things. She wanted control. She was really good at manipulating other people around her. She had means to do anything she wanted because she had 6 kids. She had very, not strong-willed husband that actually went along with everything she told him to. And she had this huge platform that allowed her to do anything. Because I don't know, I think it is a very popular thing to be a family blogger or family vlogger. I never been interested in this because I always thought this is kind of odd. I think it's like another part of reality shows where we saw them 19 kids and counting or something like this. Yes, I think it's kind of in the same niche, but this is a TV and this is YouTube. And they all get money for this. And in every cases of, this stuff, parents were awful in every cases. And I think there was another one with a lot of kids. It was Gilbert's or something, like where almost all of the kids were having some mental issues, some schizophrenia or something like this. And they even have this book, I think, What's Wrong with Gilbert's. I will...
Oh, but that wasn't a show. Was that a show? I don't think that was a show. It's a
Gelvins.
It's about a family in somewhere in, I can't remember where, but essentially in the boonies. I want to say Texas, but don't quote me on that. It's because they had inbreeding basically. And so I think
now I remember.
They lived in a place so small that they basically started marrying their cousins. Their first cousins,
Colorado Springs. They were from Colorado Springs.
Oh, there we go. And then they were intermarrying into their own family, and then basically, yes, a lot of them were born with genetic abnormalities. Some of them were born with some other issues, but their family just kept inbreeding basically because I guess they lived in such a small town village that there were not other people, and it was a whole dynasty of people that had all of these problems, but that was for a different reason.
But for me, there's all sister cases because everything is really similar. Controlling parents, something odd going on, fame, money, and torture in the end.
And religion.
No, but I don't think
a lot of them are religious.
Well, the case about that family with the inbreeding, I don't think there was a lot of fame before they were actually so the journalists heard about it, and then they came out and then they said, you know what, let us investigate more and whatever. So they didn't have money or fame before. It's just that once the journalists got wind of it, they started paying them money for interviews.
Yes, but 19 kids and counting, and also the other one is like a sister wives or something like this about Mormon. He had multiple wives and sister wives, and they had tons of babies too. I didn't watch
Yeah.
it. I mean, it was on TLC, and I know that this particular TV channel is very known for such a controversial shows with very odd people that have a lot of troubles with law after they're showing their lives.
TLC.
Remember how it started? Like the 19 Kids and Counting. I think they started at 16 or 15.
Something like that. Yes.
When they started, the show was rather innocent. Like the intention was not bad. The intention was to really show the logistics of a large family, because not everybody has a large family nowadays. Majority of people have 1-2 kids, right? And that's majorly, this is what's happening. And they're like, but what does a family do when they have 15 kids? How do they shop? How do they, logistically do things? How do they drop them off at school? And it started very innocently. And I watched like a couple of first episodes specifically because it was interesting to me. Like, how does the family function? Right. And then, obviously with the time, with the fame, with the money and everything, it turned into business more so than anything else. And then all of these things like the sex scandals came out, like that the children were molesting the younger children, et cetera, et cetera. But like, again, when you have so many children, how do you even control?
How do you control? Well,
one of them.
Yeah, they were religious, but they were not like religious like Ruby, Frankie, and Jody. They were members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which is LDS. It's a famous church, and they are famous for very, very strict parenting rules. So kids shouldn't be tortured, obviously, but there's a lot of members of the church were arrested over years for this particular reason. They were just not, famous. They weren't on the TV. So religion pushes people to like, you go to heaven if you
no
or not.
Religion pushes people. It's people finding justification in religion for doing bad things.
It starts, and then they found that if you don't do this, and they become very controlling. But if their explanation and excuse, yes, I do it for you. Because if you don't do it and I don't help you, I will be the one whose fault is that you didn't go to heaven. And we know the very famous one, Carrie from Stephen King, right? Her mother was super, super religious and controlling and all of that. That's it's been for years. The same situation with controlling parents trying to send their children to heaven. At the same time, children have hell on earth while living in this environment with these parents.
Remember the case of a girl who was held by her family in a room for 13 years because the father thought that she was like mentally slow, and he basically said that she cannot have any type of like, there was no toys, there was no development for this child. There was like one window that didn't even go anywhere, like she couldn't see anything outside, and she was kept as a baby. Like she had diapers, she was never potty trained, she was like basically neglected, and the father was so sure that she is mentally or unable to develop mentally that he would really he would tell other people not to talk to her even. So she didn't even hear enough of the speech to be able to speak. And so when they found that out, the authorities and people and whatever, they tried to teach her to speak. They tried to put her up like with a foster family and things like that. The girl couldn't walk. The girl couldn't talk. Couldn't do anything for 13-year-old, right? And it was a really, really hard time adjusting. And I think she kind of went off the grid after some time. So I didn't even know what happened to her in the end, because there were a lot of scientists involved with her. There was a lot of like re-education and like trying to put her back into a society and like get her used to talking and doing certain things. But I don't even know what happened to her in the end. Where did she end up?
I don't know. I know another family who also had their like about 6 kids who never let them out of the house. They lived in extreme filth. They were tying them to beds, and even movie was made of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and they actually like escaped, and they I think
One of the girls, yeah.
Yeah, I think that after this they kind of like they're now okay-ish, I think.
Okay-ish,
They-
yeah, exactly. They're
Yeah.
not exactly mentally healthy. It's very
But
difficult. One
this
of the
kinda,
girls is on
there's
TikTok, basically. One of them.
there's a lot of cases like this when parents are cruel, when one parent is cruel but he doesn't show it to everyone, like he is cruel to one kid and the other live in normality, if we can call it that, and the wife
Just go on
or-
and on with that.
yeah, and a wife or a husband,
Along.
they think it's fine, everything is okay, like they're in the bubble or of some sorts. If you remember, there was this horrific case, I think it was in Germany, when the father, he took his daughter as a wife. He hid her in a basement and he lived with her, and she bore children for him, and
Yeah, it
her
was a movie
mother
about
was
it. Yeah.
living, and her mother was
Right
living
there.
in the same house, and she never knew
Abs-
that her daughter was down there and that she
Right. Because he
She had-
staged
kids there.
he staged it. He
Yeah.
staged it to seem like she ran away. He wrote a letter.
Yeah.
Or he made her write a letter that,
Mhm.
oh, I'm leaving, to another town or whatever. I want to live separately, et cetera, et cetera. So he staged it so that like she ran away. And so the wife all these years thought that the daughter really ran away.
And the girl was
Yeah.
already basically an adult. She was
But
17 or 18. It's not like she didn't know normal life before.
something like this,
It's
yeah.
growing from babies. It's different story in the environment. You don't know different, but she knew different, and she knew she's in her house, and
She
her
knew
mom is upstairs, and brother, and it's her dad.
Those are
Uh,
those are extreme cases, and we have and they were not like on the internet, they were not a family blogger or something, but when we're talking about family bloggers or people who show their life on the internet, it is more peculiar for me that no one actually noticed anything like until something
Until
really
it's
extreme is
too late.
happening. Yeah, like
yeah.
we have this we have this blogger, she's like a micro influencer or something like this, and she actually put her son, he's like 8 or 9, I don't remember how old he's, but he's not a baby, he's a teenager. She put him into a vacuum bag, and she sucked the air from it, playing a game. It is a game of a dog or something like this, when like kids were playing this game when I was little.
In the vacuum thing like that. Why would you do
She
that?
she said that they were playing this game, and she actually she put the video out for everyone to know, for everyone to see. She didn't think it was crazy for her to video like she's sucking the life out of her son. She said there was controlled. There was in control. Everything was fine. He was not in danger. But now she's facing she's facing criminal charges for this.
Yeah,
it's not like she
for
was
the good reason.
It's not like she was torturing him. It's not like this. But how can a person? I'm not saying how can a mother. I'm just saying how can a normal person think that that's a great idea? To put a kid in a bag.
Exactly. But I'm telling you, you wouldn't even do that to your dog, right? So her excuse was like, we were playing as if you were a puppy or a dog, right? But people wouldn't do that to their dogs. What the hell?
The dog lover would be like, what? You do it to your dog?
No. It's the point of this game. I remember this was a very, very, very dangerous game that some kids were playing this when I was like in school, when they choked, like two friends, they were choking each other for them to have this mild faint. So they would be close to fainting. Yeah.
It was trending. It was trending.
Yes, but it was something like adrenaline rush or something. I don't remember what was this all about. But she was playing this kind of game with it.
But you see, like I I have such a compared to what you guys are telling me, I had such a very, very boring childhood because I never played anything like that. What?
I never played this, but I knew
I
people
never
who
played
were.
that games as well. My childhood was boring compared to that. Thank God.
Yeah.
I don't want a fun childhood like that. But it's like people right now in this age when we all can get on camera, we can get all our 15 minutes. We don't need to, somebody found us on the street and say, oh, you look like a model, right? Let's us promote you. Everyone can do that. And everyone strives for that attention. And what if I also will make money? And they ready to sell their, soul, not just children. So what they have, I don't have anything special. Let me do it with my child. And they put this baby in front of the camera. They make this baby. I saw that video, make all kinds of food, spicy food and like crazy food. And the girl is like, she's a child. And the mother and other commenters like, oh, it's fine. She's just, she's so brave. She tests her limit.
What do you think about toddlers? Toddlers beauty bloggers. A little kids like at the age of 5 putting a lot of makeup or some treatment on their faces, and their mothers giving this to them. And this is odd when you see a 5, 6, or 7-year-old kid who has more cosmetics and makeup than you. And she's more versed in this because she's applying makeup like she's been doing this from the age of 0, I guess. And their moms, they're making, it's not like they're making them do this, but they're praising them for this, and kids think that this is okay. And then we see a lot of like kids, I'm talking about girls because mostly it is little girls who pose in very provocative poses for camera, and the mom is standing behind it and clapping for her. Oh my dear, you're so beautiful. And she's 6. And after this, a lot of grown-up men online see this kind of content. Yeah,
free content. Yeah, we know who watches that.
I personally don't think there's anything wrong with makeup, okay? Because it's a skill. It's something that if the kid really wants,
depending on the age, I think it's depending on the age, not for the 5.
I don't really care about that. Like the kid wants to draw, okay, draw, right? The kid wants to play piano, okay, play piano, right? So I don't see anything wrong with cosmetics,
but they don't have to be on camera doing it.
But what if they
is that there are other adults who are perverted and crazy and sick in their heads? That's a different story, right?
Yeah, because, and mothers know about it.
Makeup by itself does not necessarily do anything to the okay, like you buy safe makeup, obviously, but it doesn't do anything to the child. Right?
They don't buy safe makeup. It's a grown-up makeup. It's a tone. It's lashes. It's everything. It's a contouring. That's what I'm talking about. Not just playing with one thing or the other. And a lot of cosmetics, they're saying that they apply a lot of dangerous makeup, that anti-wrinkling, anti-aging makeup on the skin that is 6 years old. It is not a good idea. Because I think a lot of girls from the very young age, they can develop a thing that they are not good enough without makeup. Of course,
that's real. Yeah, that thing is real. Yeah, body morphia, face morphia, whatever they develop from being constantly in that, and everybody tell them they're pretty doing this, and no compliments without that.
Do you remember those
the children who are forced to participate in the beauty pageants?
Yeah, I was
the shows. It's a whole different ballgame. It's a whole different industry as demonstrated to us by reality TV, right? Because I wouldn't even know about that because I don't do that, right?
Do you remember this mothers who actually inject I think like lip fillers, and they make a new teeth to their young girls, like 6 or 7 years, because they don't want the Botox and everything. They actually do that to a toddler, basically, to a little, very little kid.
I don't know how, because I had fillers, right? And it hurts so bad that I said, no, unless you like knock me out or you anesthetize me so well that, I horrible pain. How do you do that to a child?
They do it to a child, yes, because they don't care if the child is in pain. The most important is to go to that stage and show that you're
and
prettier, but they look older actually with all this
yes,
fillers
and we
all that
have
stuff.
another cases like John Bennett Ramsey. She was this beauty pageant queen. She was like, I don't remember how old
Years
was she
ago.
when she was murdered. Yeah, and no one actually knows what happened to her. Like, we know that she was murdered, but by whom?
Yeah, no, and it's a mystery. It's still a mystery, but yes, but she was a very famous American sweetheart. She was about 5'6". I don't know, but yeah.
And there were,
now,
remember how many episodes on like SVU or whatever, those detective shows about the pageants. They started incorporating that and making those where like either the competition would want to kill somebody, or it was just like a sick maniac or a serial killer, whatever that wanted to kill those girls. And again, yes, mostly it's girls that are targeted.
Yeah, for sure. And the mother explain it as, my daughter becomes more confident, and she's such a good speaker right now, and all of that. But in reality, they just live in their dreams. Mother just live in their dreams through their child, through their children.
Correct. Like I wanted to go and do ballroom dancing. I did ballroom dancing when I was like 13, 14. But I saw kids that were like 5 and they were so much better than me because they started early. Right?
Yeah.
And then I said in my head, I'm like, oh, if I ever have, when I have a child, I want them to do this early on. So I tried to do that for my kid. I bought her shoes, I bought her dresses, everything. She hated the hell out of it. She was like, I don't want to do that. She did it for some time, right? But it never went anywhere. But you don't even have to go far. Remember, Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
Famous child star. She said she started drinking and doing drugs at the age of like 10 or whatever. Right. And she's very open about it. She's very like, she shares that journey, and she shares how she had to go to rehab and she had to do, several times, not one time, to get clean and to get rid of all of those addictions. And what about all of those?
Brooke Shields as well. Brooke Shields, also the famous actress, also went through the same thing.
Macaulay Culkin.
But they thought, they're like, well, because you're a colleague, you're a star. Here's a drink, or here's a whatever sniff of cocaine, or I don't know.
Or just feel yourself comfortable, right? You're a shy little girl. Okay, here, take this. You're not gonna be shy little girl anymore.
But how is that normal? How is that normal?
It's not.
Where's the frame of like what's good and what's not, and what's right and what's not?
Yeah,
I think it erases all the lines and all the edges because it's shown online, because these people are not perceived like kids anymore, because they are, like stars. They work, they earn money, and they behave more mature than just a normal kid who plays like doll houses and everything. And as we see, I think that when we watch those type of content right now, like on the YouTube or something, it's like it's a movie. For someone, it's not that real. It blurs everything. Like we see that mother is really strict to a kid. Oh, that's a scripted. Of course, she will hug him and kiss him and everything is fine. And the director will say cut and everyone went back home. But they're not, because they're already home. And we're forgetting this. And a lot of people who watch this thing forgetting that this is their life. They wake up every morning and their mom, instead of kissing them and saying, what are you going to do today? You're going to read your book, or you're going to play with your friends. She's saying, okay, now we start shooting. And like everyone should march like they're soldiers and do whatever they have to do before breakfast. This is awful. Yeah, perform.
Yeah. So it came now to two extremes, right? Parents who basically sell their children, right, to other people through the screen, and parents who hide their children and don't show them to anyone, and they both are controlling parents, and they both have this styles, have their explanations. And for example, let's take these two families and see how maybe one of these situation is all right. Like this woman Tiffany, right? Tiffany Smith, she had a daughter, Piper, who became super popular on YouTube. And so this woman started collecting other people around her, and they created all this chain of channels which were like kind of pulling each other and helping each other to grow. And she was basically the head of it, and her all parents of other kids, they did whatever she told them to do, because they saw that, the fame is coming, the money is coming, so it's all good. And she made kids clean. She made them like clean, not just normally clean. It's clean at 3 p.m. with a toothbrush, a.m. with toothbrush, and film them every single day. But it was innocent filming first, and then she became parent them. Like when children became like 14, she started putting them in pairs, and there where the term became famous, shipping them. Okay, so two kids, 13 years old, she would just like, you will be a couple. And now these kids have to act like a couple, but they're kids, they hate each other, and they have to, act like, they love each other on camera. They have to have their first kiss on camera. And she forced them doing it. Finally, something happened. They broke up. Those parents started suing her. And so the money started disappearing. So what she started doing, she started selling her daughter on to OnlyFans and dressing her in all provocative clothes and telling her how to act and all of that. And there's another family in Italy who went and started living in the forest, building house from woods, branches, whatever, to isolate their kids from the real world and the craziness of the world, right? And they were healthy kids and everything. They ate berries and mushrooms. They killed animals, whatever. Before their children poisoned themselves with mushrooms, and they took them to the hospital, and that's how the authorities found out that they, lived isolated in the woods, without school, without communication with other kids and everything. So when they took the kids away, basically. But they didn't take kids away. In this case, her mother was selling her daughter to OnlyFans. So these are two very extreme cases, right? Either isolate your kids or sell your kids. And both sides think they're right.
Right. So, but at least depends, right? Depends. If they're isolated, but they're still raising them in humane conditions, right? Where, okay, maybe you don't have traditional schooling, but a lot of people homeschool, right? So, and that's a thing to do, versus actually selling your kid and like showing them how to pose and everything. Okay.
But isn't it also an abuse to rob their kids of like communication with others? Like they don't see other kids, they don't go to school, they don't know how to communicate with other people, they don't know any social skills. Like, they don't really have electricity. They go outside in the hole.
But what about the kids who live in very, very far off places where there literally there are no other kids? Then what, right?
So there are no choice,
right? Obviously, that's not done by the certain cases is not done by choice. But what I'm not saying like, yes, everybody should do it. I'm saying that the parents do have legitimate reasons to be afraid of the outside world. Think about how much stuff our kids are exposed to on the internet. Think about how much stuff that we can, with all the parental controls that exist, we still cannot 100% protect them from everything that's out there on the internet, right? So if you compare the two, I would rather, see the kid grow in a family, but in a loving family, isolated, versus being sold online to perverts that, and then they might
I get what you're saying, but I get what you're saying, but what is going to happen to those kids who will come to the world after this kind of childhood, that do not know basic things that we as a society, do right now.
They will have to do it
They will
eventually.
have trouble. They will have the trouble
have trouble,
adjusting,
definitely.
actually.
Right, but it's
Yeah.
the same thing. Like, for example, like me, when I grew up, I've heard of credit cards, but I didn't even know how they function. How they function,
Yeah.
how do they work, how do you use one, how do you get one? I had no idea. Then guess what? I learned. Right? So obviously the learning curve for them is going to be a lot worse than for somebody who did have a slightest idea about things like that. But again, like, what are you comparing it to? Are you comparing it to those people who, those other kids who are tortured, like Ruby Frankie, right? Tortured, beaten, and starved versus
I compare it in a way that both of these sides, both of these families, the kids have no choices at all.
What do you
The
what do you
parents
think
decide
about
for them the lifestyle and everything.
Your and mine kids don't have a choice. I'm sorry, but
But they have more choices. Like, your daughter didn't want to do the ballet or ballroom dancing, she didn't have to do it.
But we can only give them the choices that we can give them. For example, my kids' choices are not the same as a person who has like a lot more financial means of like sending their children to private school, et cetera, right?
It's different. Yeah, it's different. It's a finance. Yeah, it's
our kids only have the
abilities
choices that we can give them. They're limited
Well,
by what we can give them.
what would you say about parents who try to raise genius?
Geniuses.
Who's so sure that
determined,
their kids are smarter and they have to be like on the top, that they try to put them in extreme conditions to get this genius out of them, like grab this kid and say, you're a genius, you're gonna do, like, we have this family Teplikove. It's they have a lot of kids. It's kind of like, it's a pattern. For me, it is really like a pattern where parents have a lot of kids and they do something to them. Like they have this father that thinks that all of his kids are so smart that they can go to the university at 9 years old. And one of the first of their daughters, she was, I think she was 9 when she finished school, and her father decided that she will go study in the university, and she went to MGU on the psychology classes. And what do you like? Every time when we saw those family, the mother who was not really talking much, the kids who were deprived of actual childhood, they were not kids anymore. They did not look like they were kids. They were looking like they were like, little, I'm sorry to say that, but they were looking like they were little goblins that, had to do some things to earn their bread. And the father, he was this sheikh. She was this king, this authoritarian figure who decided that this girl is going to be in the university at 9. This kid who is 5 is going to finish his school at 6. And this is, we now seeing the fall of this family, because those kids are not socially and mentally prepared for all of this thing. Maybe they're very smart, maybe not, because we all know that there's this thing about geniuses, that they are like genius until like 12, and then something happens to their brain, and 99% of those people, of those kids, are not genius anymore.
What about remember that genius? I think he was from South Korea. So he really did what you're saying, right? He went to university at a very early age. He got his PhD super early. Then he worked for NASA. I think he's around in his like late 20s, early 30s now, and he literally fell off the grid, and he works like some regular office job, and he does not want to do anything. He does not have the desire to keep achieving, right, the things that everybody professed for him to be. He's like, I want to live a normal, boring life. Like, get away from me. the guy.
Yeah, I saw the same story. I saw an interview with a girl who also lived, this kind of childhood. The interview was she was followed from like age of whatever 5 to like 35, and she grew up in the former Soviet Union. And I saw her interview as an adult. It's her like probably 30 something, and she was working on an office job. She did not look like she looked like you would say, oh, look at this, like I don't know, black turtleneck, ponytail, something like this, like she was a scientist or something. No, she looked like very normal person, and she said the same thing. And she couldn't get some amazing job with tons of that pays tons of money. She became a regular office rat, and her life was mediocre, and she didn't want to do anything in her life. She got all that happens in her early childhood, and that's it. She was over with it. She was pushed to do it, pushed to do things that she didn't want to do as a child.
Right. So, but again, where do we draw the line between developing a child's talent and inner abilities, right? Because as a parent, that is our job too, to develop,
exactly, yeah,
to look out,
set boundaries,
seek it out, right, and then and help direct them, versus where's it's something that you're obligating the child to do and you're torturing them and they hate their life.
Like now it's like in America, I don't know about Russia, there's term gentle parenting, and you of course heard about it, Nadia, where actually you let the child do whatever they want. You don't punish the child ever. You don't yell at the child. The child. It's in a generation of parents now growing, becoming you became adults, and they became parents who are scared of their children actually. And I see it all the time online. I'm scared of my daughter. Like, it's another extreme.
Yes, and what about those parents who actually show their kids in a very bad way? I think that you have this blogger, and we have this vlogger like too in Russia, who's showing her kid. In our case, it is a son. In your case, I will try to Google it. It's a girl who is throwing things, who is damaging everything, who's shouting and saying cruel words to their mother and father, and she's like talking to her audience, this woman, and she's saying, I don't know what's gonna do. She's showing the worst of the kid. And like I will Google it.
And she doesn't the parents who don't set basically any boundaries for kids, and they go into the wild world as wild animals. Like everything goes, we can do anything, it doesn't matter, we're never gonna be punished, it's first of all it's me and then everyone else.
It's not like this. It's more like she's showing of the worst of the kid for views. It is
for views. Okay,
it's a rage bait. It's a rage bait, but she is like also she's saying that she's showing to an audience that her daughter is a monster who only wants to get things. She's like, I'm gonna sell all of your Gucci bags and everything, and I will get the money and I will buy something for her. Yeah. So this is another type of can you say it's a torture or not? But if this is not
exploitation,
but if it's not a reality, if it is scripted, like she said, it was scripted, and a lot of people say that yes, it is scripted because like she's trained to break the some like a notebook or some phone, and we already like audience said that they already saw this phone and it was already broken and everything. So this is intentional, and this girl is just she's not even a teenager. And what's going to happen to her when she will be a teenager, when she will grown up, and people who saw her doing these things like throughout her childhood will say that you're a little shit, I'm sorry, and you just made your mother a horrible like you made
or other people or other kids horrible. Who watch it. There's other kids who watch it and think, oh wow, I can do that. Right. I didn't know. Let me do that too to my mother. And some actually will allow it. Some will get, hard awake.
Yeah, but
But
this conversation made me think about some other bloggers that I have myself seen, right? Also, I've watched their content. You guys ever seen Yeva? The little girl who she tries different foods, and then they also film content where she goes shopping for clothes, or things like that. But it really feels like to the viewer, to me, right, it really feels like she is being raised with, in very nice conditions, with very nice parents who listen to her, who appreciate her. And
does she
whenever
have brothers? Does she have brothers, older brothers? Nazayeva? Okay, because then there's Nazayeva.
she's the only kid, and the big breakthrough that they had is from her eating different foods, and she would give like reviews as a food critic. And she's very eloquent. She's very good with her words for somebody her age, right? And it seems like their family is very, very like psychologically stable, right? It seems like she's growing up in really nice conditions. It seems like the parents are listening to her and what she's saying. But now that we're talking about it, right? Like, I'm like, I don't know. Maybe that's not true. Maybe that's how she acts before, in front of the camera. And maybe that's not how her life really is.
Yeah, there's a vloggers from Spain that I watch, Katya and Ivan, Katya Ivan, and they have two little children, Vanya and Anya, and they're like amazing family. And they show every day, they show their life, and the kids, you can see the kids are just well, raised, and they're happy, and they're doing everything right. And they manage the balance of like disciplining the kids and giving them freedom, but people in comments, they will find a way. Oh my God, she didn't want to do a ponytail, and you still made a ponytail on her. Things like that. Or, oh, you don't feed your kids, you just ate food and the kids didn't eat, and you're like, well, the kids just ate before, we just didn't film it. So there's
that's what I'm saying. Maybe part of the problem is us as consumers of the content. Right, because people watch these things, and okay, like me again. Maybe we're part of the problem because we keep watching.
We're definitely part of the problem, but
this type of things were like always. If you remember, I don't know if you've heard of the story. It is a type of a true crime of some sorts, but there was this psychiatrist. It was like in the early to 20th century. It was 1937, 36 or 37. He was in France. He bought a 6-year-old girl from a family. It was a poor family, and he raised this girl. Her name was Janine, and when she turned 18, he married her. They had a daughter. And this is one of the one of the saddest, I guess, parts of this, because he ruined the life of two little girls. First one he bought at 6 years of age, and the second one he was the father of. Her name was Maud, and he decided to make a superhuman out of her. He told her not to show any
emotions. Of your wife or daughter?
He the daughter.
Okay.
They had a little girl, Maud, and he raised a wife, and then he decided to raise himself
like
a superhuman.
Well, okay,
this is worse. It's even worse. So she couldn't let her emotions out. She couldn't smile. She couldn't cry. She couldn't do anything, and he was experimenting on her. Like, he wanted her to be the most perfect woman, like in the entirety in the world. So no one watched him. He was not making the content out of it, but he was still doing this. It is a cruelty of humans. It is just, like, we have this thing in our brain that clicks sometimes, and we do this to kids, to other people. And now we developed another, I don't know how to say it. we developed another scene, I guess, because we are now watching it. It started with movies.
Yeah.
We like to always like we liked horror movies and everything. The new era of YouTube and family bloggers and TikTok and everything. It is like it's like experiment. How far can we go? How far can we?
What happened to Maud, though?
She was, she survived. She was not very happy person. Her father died. He didn't do anything like, I don't think he didn't do anything, in a sexual manner to her, but she was broken. She was a broken person. Yes, he gave her all the money and everything, but I don't think that she loved anyone after this. I think that she wrote a book or something like this. You can Google her. I don't remember what happened to her, because it's the story of 20th century. But she was not dead after this. She had a lot of phobias, of course. She had a lot of different, so she was not socially acceptable, I guess, for a lot of other people, because she didn't know how to
be social, how to interact with other people, of course. Her emotions,
she didn't know how to express her emotions, express herself.
So
I think it is another part of this experiment. Like, how far can we go? How many other bloggers would do same things that Ruby Franke did? How many bloggers do that? And we don't notice it because everything is blurred. Everything is blurred.
Absolutely. The dark side, we don't know anything, what's going on behind the camera. And there's a lot of TikTok is so easy. These short family videos, and parents take their tiny baby and put it in front of the camera and do this and let's dancing, ha ha ha, ho ho ho, and camera turns off, and we don't know what's going on with that baby after the camera is off. Like the exploitation of kids is a real thing. It's been always it's been always. We're trying to touch so many subjects today, right?
A lot of things to think about. So I guess the takeaway from here is be mindful of the content that you watch, and if you do notice something, say something, right? As a responsible adult, and maybe the pretty picture is not as pretty as we think.
That's for sure.
But on a brighter note, I just Googled, and Maud Julien, she actually not just survived this, she's not actually just lived her life after this. She got married, and she became psychologist. And
happy case.
I think that she won this war with her father and his legacy, and she actually found her own way in this life. This is a good example of how people can be open to the new things that they will see after they end this dark chapter of their lives. And I hope that all of the kids who we were talking about right now will have this help and will be able to live their lives without too many problems and too many psychological issues after.
As parents, we try to give our kids the best, right? We're trying to raise our kids in the best way. We all have our own ideas of how to raise the kids and what to give them and not to give them, so they will become a successful adults. Well, and some people take them to the forests of Italy. Some put them in front of the camera.
Yep.
How do we find the balance? How do we, we cannot prove anyone that our way is the best, and you shouldn't do this, or you should do that, because I do that. We can't force it on other people. But yes, as you girls said, people who us as a consumers, at least we maybe can do little things like be, intentionally watching. If we came over that content, and I don't come over that content often. I'm telling you the truth. I don't watch kids a lot.
I think we need to develop a little bit more boundaries.
Yeah, and I don't know who this content is for. Different people, and most parents don't care. But anyway, we'll try to do our best, and if we see something, maybe we can say something. right? And maybe prevent destroyed childhood.
Yeah.
Right?
So I guess, yeah, right. Stay safe, everyone. Love your children. Raise them well.
Don't read books. Don't watch videos about how to raise your kids. Have intuition. And like, if your kid is like breaking furniture, maybe you should stop him from doing
Just
it.
go outside and touch the grass already.
Exactly. There is always a balance. Try to have balance. It's very difficult at our age. Very difficult. But it is what it is. We do what we
Until
can. I hope you enjoyed our talking, and you have, something to think about. Maybe write in comments what you think about all of this.
What do you think about all this? Do you watch this type of content? Do you enjoy it, or do you find it a little bit creepy, or you think that there can be some balance? You can show your family, but you can be wise about this.
Yes, because it's time to make money for everyone and be a creator. Right, bye, guys. We'll see you next time. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
bye.